flow forecasting to make sure that we're all in agreement as to what that really is and how we deal with that. And then I'm going to walk you through a model that that we use internally and explain how we've built out our cash flow. And then I'd like to also share with you a model that is readily available on the internet, but you have to sort of understand how cash flow modeling works, and how you get through that model is, I'll just walk you through it in general terms and give you some direction as to how you can find it. The neat thing about cash flow modeling, if you can bring up the, let's see, the presentation there. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, what we're going to see here is in the cash, let's see, there's a little, what we're going to talk about, sorry, I'm a little taken back by the logo's coming a little strong and it's taking over the words on the slide. The cash flow, we're going to talk about cash flow modeling in general. I want to talk briefly about cash versus accrual accounting, because that is really a fundamental behind understanding how and why we use cash flow models. And then we'll look at the basic mechanics of cash and accrual accounting. Then we'll also look at the fundamentals of a good Excel-based cash flow model. And as I said, I'll walk you through some of the highlights of ours, and then also introduce you to one that's readily available on the internet. So, and if we could go to the next slide. This is a bit about myself. My background is that I've been doing financial analysis and cash flow analysis for companies, both as a operations person, a CFO role. It wasn't actually a CFO in the sense that we do contract for hire type CFO roles. So we'll come in on an interim period and work with our clients to help them get back control of their finances. Sometimes we help them with bank presentations and things like that, but we're always doing cash flow forecasting, because fundamentally, if you know how much money you have and how the projects are progressing, you'll know whether you have enough money to see it through. We find that many projects run into trouble, and if they have good cash flow forecasting, they can stay on top of the project. So in that realm, I've worked with a variety of companies, from very small to very large, from geographically based in the northwest of the United States to around the world. We've worked with companies in Turkey and Egypt and Singapore. The cash flow modeling that we've built is really one now that we're using, that we've designed to fit for many different industries, but I'll give you the basics of how to build a good cash flow model. We have produced probably over 200 different models over the years, and so that's what I wanted to, that's that background that I want to share with you today. And we can go to the next slide. Okay. One of the things that I talk about in cash flow forecasting is what is cash flow, and the ability to actually move data in and out of through a business, move cash through a business, but you want to be able to see and predict where that cash is going to be at any given time. Again, this is a forecast, it's based on assumptions, but if you base it on realistic data, you can actually come up with a pretty good model that will be great for you to plan your business activities with. You can use these in a wide variety of applications, as we'll talk about in a few minutes. And then you can also look at them in terms of how to predict or work with your banker if you have dips. You want to predict if you're going to have a shortfall of cash, and you want to be able to work with your banker as early as possible to present that. So that was really the idea behind the cash flow modeling that we were doing, was we wanted to make sure we had enough cash to see our projects through. And in light of that, we were then trying to, get as much of a vision of the future as possible. So you can use this in conjunction with general analysis, predicting credit card loan transactions as to when you're going to need cash, integrate it with payroll and paying taxes. All of those things are factors that you'll use in your cash flow model, and we'll talk about that as we go through this example that I'm going to show you. Next one, please. And as I've said, where to apply it, I don't have to belabor this slide very much, but as you can see, it depends on what your background is. But if you're working in a small organization or a very large one, cash is always extremely important. We've done some work with some large aerospace companies. They have big, long projects that take a long time to complete. What they need to be able to do is to be able to predict when that cash is going to be needed. When are they going to get cash to pay for the investments that they've made? So in a very large company over a long period of time, they have some very specific requirements about managing their cash. And that is extremely important. And the dollars are big. Small errors can mean a real desperate situation at times. So if you can predict as early as possible where that might happen, you can make sure that you have the money to see yourself through. In our personal lives, cash flow forecasting is probably what you do when you think about budgeting. You want to go on a vacation somewhere, and you try to predict into the future how much money you're going to need in order to go on that vacation. And so what you do is you try to save some money. So what you're doing is building up a cash reserve because you know at a future point you're going to deplete it. So that's what we're looking at when we talk about cash flow forecasting. And there's just a wide variety of applications for this. And every project of any type, whether it's running a business, a nonprofit organization, doing a large-scale project within a company, like implementing a new technology solution, all of these things are going to need cash flow forecasting in order to ensure their success. Excuse me, can we go to the next slide, please?